Today I'm at our main vegetable garden right behind our house. Just want to go through and show you that we are up against the pests. We're also up against the pests on the potatoes over at the farm, but I'm going to show you the damage here and just explain to you what's going on. But we actually have leaf hoppers here like crazy, and I noticed some yesterday when I was over at the farm as well. They're just starting over there, so I've got to do something about that or we're going to start losing yields. So I'll just show you the damage that they do to potato plants in particular, but I also will show you that here in this garden they're also in the green beans, and so I end up having to address it in all those places in order to effectively cut down their population. So let's take a look. So here are the potato plants in this garden. There's only just a short row here. You can see the other end of it. So not a lot. These were planted early, and these are red Norland potatoes. Now red Norland as a variety is much more susceptible to the leaf hoppers than the Yukon Gold potatoes, which are what I have planted over at the farm. And what you see here is the tips on these leaves are curling up and turning brown. That is hopper burn. That is the damage from the leaf hopper, and actually by the time you're seeing this, it's already too late. Technically, you're already losing yield. I just didn't act on this early enough because with this small row I just wasn't motivated to get out and actually mix up some spray, given that I was not as concerned about this. But now that they're at the farm as well and they're in the green beans, I'm going to actually deal with it. Now, I can show you another pest that's in here as well. Underneath here, that's the larva for the three-striped potato beetle. They have like excrement on the back of their bodies as a little bit of a pest deterrent, so they're kind of gross. We may have some larvae for Colorado potato beetles in here as well. I'll try to find some of those just to show you that. But before I do that, if I just give this plant a shake, you probably can hardly even see, but when I give it a shake, the little bugs go flying around, and those are the leaf hoppers. They tend to be on the underside of the leaves, and it's really their larvae that do the damage too. When they suck the sap or the fluid out of the plant, they inject a toxin, and that's what causes these leaves to burn like this. But let's see if we could see a Colorado potato beetle larva here. Here is an adult Colorado potato beetle. The characteristic striping gives it away. Now, these eat the foliage, and the damage from the Colorado potato beetle, they actually have to remove 10%. The potato plants can handle being about 10% defoliated before it starts to have a big impact on yield. But with the leaf hoppers, the impact is right away, so they're much worse. I've been picking the potato beetles off. That's my general approach. I just stick them in a water bottle or whatever, and they're pretty easy to control that way. So this is the only adult that I see today, and I'll poke down the row and see if I see some larvae as well. Took a bit to find one because I've been removing them all, but right there, that itty bitty little pink bug there, that's the larva for the Colorado potato beetle. So end up picking them off as well. They just eat the foliage as they grow and develop off the plants. But again, the big issue is the leaf hopper. Let me give a tap and we'll see if we get any fluttering around. Not really. Regardless, we can see the curled leaf tips, the brown coming through, and every once in a while you'll see them kind of fly around. But let me show you on the green beans because it's more obvious there. It's a pretty big infestation. We have two rows of green beans. The row here on the left was planted about 2.5 weeks later than the row on the right. And this row on the right is just starting to produce some beans for harvest. In fact, I just picked some for dinner tonight. But if we get down here, what I want to do is I'm going to tap the plants, and we'll hopefully see the leaf hoppers come fluttering out a little bit as we kind of tap on these plants. They may be too small to even notice on the camera, but they're fluttering all around when I knock on these plants here. And the issue is, if I were to just spray and treat the potatoes, obviously the infestation here would be an issue. They'd be back on the potatoes immediately, just because they're all living here. So the only way to address this is ultimately to spray all of this, unfortunately. I kind of hate to use pesticides, but it's got to be done. You can even see some of the discoloration on the leaves in the green beans. Overall, the green beans are much more tolerant. I've never had them curl up and die off like the potatoes, but as you can see, based on the discoloration in the leaves, they are also experiencing a little bit of damage from the leafhoppers as well. So let's mix up some pesticide and address this issue. So what I'm going to use to address these leafhoppers is this product right here. So this is PyGanic, which is a pesticide for organic gardening. If you read the label here, the active ingredient is pyrethrins, which is a natural substance. I think it's from the chrysanthemum or a flower, and they just extract that, and it's lethal to insects. So with this, you mix it at 1 to 1.4 ounces per gallon. I'm only going to mix up a half a gallon, so I'm just going to put a half ounce up here. So this little reservoir here lets you mix this up. So having squeezed the container, I now have a half ounce there in that upper reservoir. So I can go ahead and dump that into the sprayer. All right, so now we're ready to take this over to the garden hose, fill it with water. I'll shake it up, get it nice and mixed, and we'll go spray those leafhoppers. So I've mixed up the PyGanic pesticide here. The tank is now pressurized. I am ready to spray. I should mention here that whenever you use a pesticide, you've got to use it consistent with its labeling. You've got to follow the directions in terms of application, the mix ratios, and then how heavily you apply it to the crop. And when you're on the consumer side, you must be using a pesticide to just kill the listed pests only. All right. When you get into commercial applications, there's actually licenses through states. Different states have different policies about all of this. So you just need to make sure you're following all the local regulations. So there's no commercial production of crop here. This is just consumer grade stuff, and I am using this for a listed pest. The leafhopper is a listed pest if you get into the literature for that PyGanic pesticide solution. So I'm going to go ahead and start spraying the potatoes, and then I'm also going to hit the green beans as well. And again, I'm going for the underside of the leaf in order to get those leaf hoppers, which hang out on the undersides of the leaves and on the stems. All right, well that's it here. The potatoes and the green beans have now been sprayed. The leafhoppers were angrily fluttering around and going between the leaves and the rows as I was spraying up and down through there. I'll have to keep an eye on it. This is a pretty heavy infestation at this point, so I may actually have to do this again in about a week to try and get things under control. But I try to avoid that, again, especially since we're starting to get to where we're harvesting green beans. You know, now I can't harvest any for at least a day, but ideally a couple of days. The other thing is rain will tend to wash this off, and we're probably going to get some rain this week. The forecast looks like that. But at least we're starting to control the population, which, you know, will help us not lose yield on our crops.